Hi everyone, it's Mads from Denim and Blether, and today I'm joined by Nick from VEGA. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. All good.
Good. It's been a long time since we've seen you guys on stage, and since then a lot of things have changed for you. Particularly you've had some lineup changes. Do you want to tell us how that's kind of changed things for you guys as a band?
Yeah, you know what? It all happened during the initial lockdown, and it was perfect timing to do it, really, because no one was doing anything. So there were life decisions by the other guys, and there was no bad blood or anything. It was just the time was right, sort of like for Mikey and Hutch to do what they wanted to do, and we kind of sort of like encouraged it. We sort of like moved in that direction as well when it came up in conversation. So it was absolutely fine, and yeah, everyone's happy. And then Billy and Pete came into the fray, and it was just like, honestly, when they came into the band, we had no intent. It didn't even cross our mind to do a new album because Grit Your Teeth had only just come out, literally, and things just went wrong from there.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about that. Obviously, most bands tour off of one album, and you guys have kind of got two now to tour. Obviously,
Really,
like you said, yeah, Grit Your Teeth obviously was the ill-fated 2020, and you've just
yeah.
released Anarchy and Unity now. So, were you ever tempted to kind of hold back and wait to let Grit Your Teeth kind of shine, or is there a danger of that one kind of getting overlooked? Like, what's your take on that?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, we didn't have any intention of doing another album, so because none of us knew how long lockdown was going to last. I mean, we still had dates that October, in October 2020, that we thought were going to happen. So we're like, oh well, that's when Grit Your Teeth will be get done. And it was in the summer when lockdown was eased that we said, you know what, let's just get together and have a bit of a bash around in the rehearsal room. So we all, I don't know, bearing in mind none of us had played any of the Grit Your Teeth stuff at all. We'd only recorded it. So Pete and Billy joined us in York. We just set up at the studio there, and it was just the fact that when we played a few of the old songs and the new songs, what Pete did sort of like added to it, and then Billy would do something on his guitar that he wasn't even on Grit Your Teeth. I think it was on Consequence of Having a Heart. He did something different. We're like, that's awesome. And then that sort of passed it by, and then the twins and I are always writing, so we had a whole stack of songs already written, because like I said, Grit Your Teeth had been recorded the year before and it came out, blah blah blah. And so I said to Billy, well, why don't you just do something with this song? I can't remember which song it was, and just I even said to him, and he remembers this, but I said, let's remove the edge from U2 out of it, and if you can just bring Slash into the mix, that would be awesome. So, and he did something with one song. We're like, oh shit, now we got a problem, because that sounds awesome, you know. And like I said, all of the songs on this album, Tom Jones and I had already written and demoed. But then we started this thing that we called the conveyor belt, where it'd be like, okay, well, Billy, here's the demo that we've done so far. And he wouldn't change, say, he did on a few of them, but he wouldn't change sort of like the chords or anything like that. He would just play it how he would play it. And then it would come back to me, and I'd re-sing my bit. And then it would go back to Pete, and he would redo the drums and do some production touches. And it was backwards and forward, and it was so exciting. It was like the excitement we had over, not that we don't ever get excited by music, but because this was just just new flavors being added. We're not taking away from the VEGA sound. This was just adding flavors into it. And it was just so exciting. Every time it's like, all right, what we're going to do now? It was brilliant. So and we just said, you know what, let's record a new album. But we obviously had to contact the label first and say, look, we want to do a new album. Can you get it out? And so just a few emails back and forwards, and here we are.
Here we are. So for anyone who's not heard Anarchy and Unity yet, how would you describe it to
them? It's a jazz beat combo mixed with a barbershop choir. I would say that it's the best elements of VEGA in terms of all the melodies and all the hooks that we've always had, but it's just more in your face. It's just Grit Your Teeth was kind of quite in your face, but it was very polished. Whereas this one probably takes it even more to the live sound that we have. But it's just, everything was tuned down a whole step. So we're not talking grunge tuning, but it was just the whole tuning would just drop down a step, so that gives it more meat in the first place. And it just that, and just like I said, with the way it's just more Guns N' Roses than U2, if you like.
Okay. I like that.
It's not a brilliant description. I should have stuck with the bar.
No, I think you got it spot on.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask you particularly about Kneel to You, obviously a song off the new album. And it's a great song, but it's got a particularly kind of, I don't know, dark, sort of angry feel to it. So what can you tell us what's behind that one?
Yeah, well, that's probably as political as we get. The music was kicking around. I spend half my time in Sweden as I do in the UK, and I was literally, and I managed to go back there and backwards and forwards during the lockdown, and I was literally in Gothenburg airport, and this Tom and James had sent this idea the day before, and it suddenly just had this idea in my head, and so I was in these chairs waiting for a flight, and I had this laptop, and I was having ideas, but I didn't have anything with me, so I sort of like I had the music playing, I had GarageBand or whatever it was on this laptop. So I just sort of like pressed record and used the mic in this laptop, and I was like, I really can't stand this. And I was whispering so no one else would think they were just like the weirdest thing, this bloke just whispering to his laptop. Anyway, so it is a political one. But it's in the VEGA humorous taking a piss kind of style. It's definitely was inspired by certain world leaders who would be better off if they just left and went somewhere else. So it was kind of that. But obviously, I can't write the party lyric, but I like to sort of like my lyrics have some sort of meaning, especially to me. And this one was just really an observation of how the majority of the world was feeling about certain things that were going on. And so that's where it kind of came from, really. But it's all taking the piss, as well. If you read the lyrics in their own right as well, they are sort of like tongue in cheek as well.
Well, it's a great song.
Yeah.
So you guys are heading out for some UK dates very soon. I believe your first one is Saturday, that you've got coming up.
Is it 3 or 4 sleeps away? Yeah.
You must be counting down. So what are we going to be treated to on this tour?
We are playing songs from all the albums, so all 7 albums get hit, even if it's just a song from a album. But obviously we wanted to focus on Grit Your Teeth and Anarchy and Unity. So I think, I would say we're probably playing 6 or 7 from the old stuff, then 8 or 9 from the new stuff. So it's a good mix. And so there will be some classics missing from the set, but we can't do them all. And we also, when we were talking about that, I said, you know what? It's time to bring some new classics into the Vegas set. You can't rely on the same songs all the time. So there's a few ones that maybe people, I can't believe they didn't play that. It's like, well, what are we going to do? People want to hear, I think people want to hear new stuff,
Yeah.
We've been in the rehearsals, obviously do it, and the new stuff sounds fantastic live. We just can't wait to get out there and cock it up.
So what will Billy and Pete bring to the band in terms of live on stage?
What will they bring? You know what? Who knows? Because we've never played live. When we've been rehearsing, it's been non-stop piss take, to be honest with you. So it's hard to get a gauge from that. Well, I would say, what can I say? Look, no one that's been in the band previous to us has ever had us say to them, you can't come up with any ideas. It's only Tom, James and I that come up with ideas. Shut up, shut up, shut up. So what Billy and Pete have brought into the band is they've been coming up and say, try this, try that, or do this, do that. So suddenly we've just got so much more creativity that's going on. And that's not disrespect to anyone that's been in the band previously. It's just that these guys, I've known Pete for years. I mean, he's 75 now. So he's been doing this for years. So the experience he has is like, is brilliant. And then Billy's at the other end of the scale. But he's still had so much experience to date so far. So it's just, I don't know, it's hard to say. We won't know until we get on that stage. It's going to be new to us. We're going to be looking at each other saying, okay. It's like when you go on a first date with someone and it's like that state, when you eat in front of each other for the first time, that's make or break.
Well, we look forward to finding out then. So we did touch on briefly, obviously, you guys have got such a back catalogue of material. The thing that always draws me to a band is the quality of the songs, which is not something you guys have ever struggled with. So what's your kind of take on the art of songwriting these days? Because you guys have always produced such high quality tunes all the time. And it's something that seems to be quite important to you as a band.
Yeah, of course. But you got to remember, you only hear the stuff that gets through quality control. You know, we have stuff that doesn't get through, or we have some stuff that we think, well, that's a bit too samey to that one there. But honestly, and I say this all the time, we don't write to any agenda, to any recipe. We just write. You know, there's songs on this album that I actually came up on musically for the first time. That I've always had stuff, but I've never really sort of like, well, I'm not set up to do that. I'm just a singer that plays acoustic guitar when I'm writing songs. And I had a couple of ideas, and I literally was playing my acoustic guitar, and just for myself, I put distortion on the acoustic guitar, which is horrendous, you know. And I programmed some drums and stuff, and I was random. I think I was just playing my wife some of the new songs, and a couple of these demos came up in the sort of, what is it, the iTunes, whatever it was. And she's like, "That's really good. You should send that to the guys." And I was like, "I don't know." I did, and I sent it to Tom, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna rework it and get it, you know, where it was." And that was To Die For and Ain't Who I Am, I think it was, those ones. So there's no agenda to anything. It's just right. And if someone else likes it, brilliant. I mean, there's so many backing tracks and music that Tom or Jim has sent me that I just haven't bothered with because it didn't float my boat at the time. But that was the same with White Knuckle Ride. That one, the backing track for that was sitting in my iTunes for about probably 8 to 10 months before it just randomly came on when I was just sat outside, and I came up with it literally as I was hearing it. I was like, shit. And it's just a moment in time that just takes you. And so there's no secret to what we do other than the fact we just do it, you know.
Well, you do it well.
Fortunately, a lot of people like it, but there's a lot of people who haven't heard it, and there's a lot of people that don't like it, and we don't give a shit.
Good for you.
because we love doing it. And it's just, you know, when you read comments of people saying, "Oh, it's the same thing over and over again," or this, and you think, yeah, whatever, I really don't care. You know, really.
Right. Now, finally, you guys are going to be heading up to Inverness for your, I believe, what is your first show ever in the Highlands, for the Brilliant Monster Fest next month. How are you guys looking forward to that?
Can't wait. It's the jewel in the crown of this tour, because obviously headline dates are great, but with COVID and stuff, you just know that attendances aren't going to be what. We're not going to bullshit people and put posts on Facebook saying, "Or tickets are selling fast, book those tickets quick," because quite frankly, they're not. But they're doing okay, don't get me wrong. But it's also not something we're going to push, because I think the more space that people have in these venues, the better right now, because it's the smaller venues where people may. I've got mates that would normally come to gigs and stuff that they're not going to come to these because they just don't feel comfortable yet to do that. So yeah, we can't wait for the headline shows, but we also can't wait to sort of do Monster Fest. You know, it's the awesome pudding after a massive feast.
Yeah, well, it's a brilliant festival, so I'm sure you will enjoy yourself.
I hope it's packed out now that I've just said that the other ones are
Oh, I'm sure you will enjoy it. Thank you so much for chatting. Guys, make sure you check out VEGA, and you can check out their new album, Anarchy and Unity. And I'm assuming tickets for all your shows and everything are all over your socials.
So all over the socials, I'll just
so make sure you get on that.